Welcome to the Nifty CLP Criminal Law and Procedure Podcast. Podcasts created from recent cases that help teach and highlight important concepts in criminal justice. A link to the case being discussed is in the show notes because the CLP is created using a variety of tools, including some AI. Make sure you read the case.
Today, we're delving into a really interesting recent court decision, People v. Williams. It just came down this month. And it seems like a perfect lens, really, for us to sharpen our focus on relevancy and discovery, especially, within the legal system.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's so fascinating here is how this one case playing out in Tompkins County, New York, it just really highlights this ongoing tension.
Okay, let's unpack this then. So the defendant, Lawrence Williams, he was trying to get his whole indictment thrown out. He argued that the prosecution, the people, hadn't fully played by the rules for sharing evidence before trial. That's CPL Article 245 in New York. His claim was that stuff like body cam footage, BWC footage, crime scene photos, even these BWC audit logs, the background data, that they were either turned over late or just missing entirely. So what did the court actually decide about those non-compliance claims?
Well, the court looked into it pretty closely, using the framework from a key case, People v. Bay, which kind of sets the standard for evaluating these things. And they found that, there were some delays, like some crime scene photos got misfiled at first. Okay. But overall, these issues were seen as largely accidental. They were fixed promptly, and importantly, there was no finding of bad faith. The prosecution actually had provided a lot of material, extensive disclosures. So the court said their certificates of compliance were valid.
Those are the forms where they swear they've handed stuff over?
Exactly. Like, for instance, the defense already had Officer Mabey's report way back in July 2024, and that report specifically said he took photos at the scene. So, arguing later, they didn't know who took the pictures. It didn't really hold water.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But here's where it gets really interesting and ties right into our theme of relevancy. The defense didn't just want the photos and footage. They were pushing for automatic disclosure of those BWC audit logs, which, just to clarify, isn't the video, right? It's the system metadata, like when the camera was on or off.
Precisely. It's the digital trail who accessed the file, when it was recorded, stopped, started, location data maybe, the technical stuff. And the court had a very specific view on this, pointing to other important decisions like People v. Rodriguez and People v. Tech. The court actually acknowledged that trial courts aren't all on the same page about BWC metadata. There's a split.
Okay.
But this court sided with the view that, no, these audit logs are not automatically discoverable just because they exist. They quoted People v. Rodriguez, which put it nicely. What is discoverable and what is relevant are not precisely the same thing, but the two concepts are close cousins.
Close cousins. Interesting phrasing.
Yeah. And the court felt that demanding automatic disclosure of all this metadata without showing why it matters in this specific case was contrary to the values of usefulness and reason. They worried it would create this ever-expanding Sisyphean burden, basically, an endless, impossible task for prosecutors instead of actually helping resolve the case fairly.
So the court is basically saying, hold on, you can't just ask for the keys to the entire digital kingdom hoping you might find something. You need a real reason, a connection to the case.
Exactly right. You need to show relevance. And what's really remarkable is that this decision came down on the very same day, August 7th, 2025, that new amendments to that same law, CPL Article 245, actually took effect.
Wow, same day. Same day. And these new amendments now officially write that principle of relevancy into the law. They state clearly that discovery is meant for materials relevant to the subject matter of the case or to a witness's testimony. It seems like a clear move by the legislature to, as they put it, restore balance to the discovery process, trying to cut down on these big fights over purely speculative requests.
So you need more than just speculation now.
You need a good faith, fact-specific showing of why something is relevant, not just, a shot in the dark hoping to hit something.
That's a really significant development for anyone watching the legal system. But it also sounds like while the rules on what to discover are tightening around relevancy, the consequences for failing to disclose properly are still very real. What happened with the defendant's own statements in this case? Did that connect back?
Oh, absolutely. It's a perfect example of why procedure still matters immensely. So any spontaneous things Williams said right at the scene, those are okay, admissible.
But statements he made after being arrested, specifically about some earrings, those were blocked. The prosecution couldn't use them in their main case.
Why not?
Because they failed to give the proper, timely notice required under a different rule, CPL Section 710.3, which deals specifically with notifying the defense about defendant's statements. So even with this new focus on relevance for getting information, the prosecution still has to meticulously follow the rules for what they give. It shows those rules have teeth.
What a dive. This People v. Williams case, it really paints a picture of an evolving landscape for discovery, doesn't it? Pushing towards a more focused, relevant exchange, not just opening the floodgates.
It really does. It's a reminder, I think, that efficient justice depends on purposeful discovery. Discovery with a reason, not just sheer volume of data. And maybe for you, the listener, it brings up a question. How do these ideas, relevancy and usefulness, apply to just the sheer amount of information we all navigate daily? When you're trying to understand something, trying to be informed, what truly counts as relevant for your understanding? Something to think about?
Now read the case Rosie and Mac discussed and keep it in your trial notebook. It's a helpful case to read. That's why we made this podcast.